Did you know Wyoming still has the death penalty? This is Christina Williams with Just Criminal Law.
And David Mann, legal storytelling specialist. I did not know that Wyoming still had the death penalty. Do many states still have the death penalty?
Well, a little over half of the states still have the death penalty on the books. In the 70s, the United States Supreme Court found that the way that the death penalty was written in most states was unconstitutional, and Wyoming rewrote its death penalty statute. But since the 70s, Wyoming has only executed one person, and only two have been sentenced to death in that time. One was executed, and the other, that sentence was reversed.
Wow, so in almost 50 years, it sounds like there's only been one execution, one use of the death penalty in Wyoming. Is that unusual for states?
No, that's really the way that the national trend is going. You hear about fewer and fewer people being executed by the death penalty. It's a very complicated process. Once someone is found guilty of first degree murder, there are a laundry list of requirements that must be met. There's a laundry list of options, I guess, that the state has to choose from in order to seek the death penalty. But if a jury does, in fact, decide that someone is going to be executed, the jury decides it, then there is a battle of appellate work that's conducted for years. It's very expensive. And ultimately, a lot of times, it just doesn't happen. The sentence isn't carried out, and we have a particular case in Wyoming like that.
So that case, maybe we'll look at the more recent one that you said got reversed or is no longer going to happen.
Right, and that involved a gentleman by the name of Dale Wayne Eaton, and he was sentenced to death in 2004. Mr. Eaton had been convicted of murdering a young lady who was headed from Colorado up to Montana to visit her family, and that happened in the late 80s, and it wasn't solved until much later. It was solved by DNA evidence, and her remains were found, and not on his property, but her vehicle was actually buried on his property. And so he was convicted of that murder, and he was actually suspected of another murder that happened after that murder, but before he was, found to be a person of interest. And so we believe he's at least responsible for two deaths of young women in Wyoming, but he's only been convicted of one.
And he is not going to be executed for either one of those. Is that the truth?
That is the truth. He's not even going to be prosecuted for one, and at this point anyway, and his conviction was overturned by a federal judge. For the Not his conviction, but his sentence for the death penalty was overturned by a federal judge, so he will not face the death penalty.
So it sounds like very, very difficult for prosecutors to get someone all the way from the crime to the execution. I mean, this is taking years and years and years. I know that in the past there has been a great deal of conversation about this. Is this over ethical concerns about whether we should have a death penalty or not?
Yes, and it seems that for the most part, the nation is shifting away from the death penalty, and our only death penalty case where it was actually carried out involved a serial killer, and this particular person killed a family, used a bomb in Wyoming to kill a family, and then also was found guilty of killing his lawyer on an unrelated to the death of the family. So he was given the death penalty. The lethal injection occurred, and he was executed, and he was considered a serial killer. So that's the only one since the 70s in the last 50 years that's occurred.
Hmm. Okay. Well, I know that you generally don't handle a lot of these crimes that might be up for a death penalty, unless I'm wrong about that. But is that something that you see ever in your practice?
Yes, we have handled a few murder cases, and none of our clients have had to face the possibility of the death penalty.
Well, that's great to know. So, if someone needs legal guidance or counsel on any matter, whether they're these kind of severe ones or not, how do they get in touch with you?
We'll include a link in the description where they can call, text, or chat with a member of my team anytime, day or night. Here at Just Criminal Law, we know you only get one shot at justice, so make yours count.